Flora's first impression. From their initial encounter, Rondu was enchanted by Flora, the mesmerizing girl who had captivated his heart. Her beauty was breathtaking, with a smile that shone like the sun and a presence that exuded the delicate fragrance of roses. As he trained on the peak of Mount Evie, these memories lingered in his mind, fueling his determination and drive. Flora's image was a constant companion, a beacon of hope in his challenging journey. Morning reflections. Each morning before his martial arts training, Rondu would sit alone at the edge of the summit, gazing into the valley below. The vast landscape reminded him of the distance between them and the mysteries that lay beyond. "Where are you? What is your name?" he would whisper to himself, his thoughts consumed by the enigmatic beauty who had ignited a fire in his heart. Flora became his silent muse, a source of motivation and inspiration that urged him to push through the toughest challenges. Flora in his thoughts. Flora's memory was ever present in every martial arts move he performed. The brief moments they had shared were deeply etched in his mind. Her smile, her laughter, and her graceful movements became intertwined with his training. As he practiced, he imagined her watching him, her presence providing comfort and encouragement as he strived for perfection. Training with purpose, Rondu's devotion to Flora was more than just a romantic longing. It became the driving force behind his training. Every punch, every kick, and every precise movement of the Ice Storm Sword and Silver Moonlight techniques were performed with her in mind. He believed that his unspoken and unshared love for Flora gave him the strength to endure and the will to succeed. Her image was a sanctuary, a mental refuge where he found solace and motivation. The inspiration of Flora. Despite knowing so little about Flora, her past, her dreams, her future, Rondu held on to the belief that his feelings for her were destined to lead him to greatness. He envisioned their love as a beautiful story, one where he would achieve the highest honors and share his triumphs with her. Each victory and advancement in his martial arts journey was driven by the hope that one day he would find her again, and their love would blossom into something extraordinary. A love unfulfilled. Years passed, and Rondu's skills grew unparalleled. Yet, Flora remained an elusive dream, a memory that never faded, but also never materialized into reality. He continued to train relentlessly, her image never far from his thoughts. The harsh weather, demanding routines, and endless challenges were all endured with the hope that one day he would see her again. A silent devotion. Rondu's devotion to Flora remained steadfast, even as the years added layers of complexity to his life. His feelings never wavered, his love staying pure and untainted by time. Every dawn on Mount Evie, he would renew his vow to train harder, to become stronger, all for the hope of reuniting with Flora. Unseen muse, unyielding spirit. As Rondu mastered the martial arts techniques taught by Tammy, he often wondered if Flora felt his silent devotion. He hoped that somewhere, she was aware of the impact she had on his life, the way her memory had shaped his journey. The unseen muse Flora had inspired him to reach heights he never thought possible. An eternal bond. In his heart, Rondu knew that his feelings for Flora had become a part of him. They were intertwined with his identity as a warrior, fueling his resolve and giving him a sense of purpose. Though he had not seen her in years, her presence was as real to him as the air he breathed. The hope for reunion, Rondu's hope for a reunion with Flora, remained undiminished. He imagined the day when he could share his accomplishments with her, the day when their love story would begin anew. Until then, he continued to train with unwavering dedication, his heart and spirit bound by the memory of the girl who had captured his heart. The power of love. In the end, it was love that drove Rondu to achieve greatness. His feelings for Flora, though unfulfilled, had given him the strength to persevere through the toughest trials. They had shaped his journey, pushing him to become the best version of himself. Flora's memory was a testament to the power of love, a force that transcended time and space, inspiring Rondu to reach for the stars, a future unseen. As Rondu stood atop Mount Evie, looking out over the valley, he knew that his journey was far from over. The future held many uncertainties, but one thing remained clear. His love for Flora would continue to guide him. Whether he found her or not, her memory would always be a part of him, a beacon of light in the darkest times. The journey continues. With a heart full of hope and a spirit unyielding, Rondu stepped forward into the unknown. The path ahead was filled with challenges, but he was ready to face them all. His journey, inspired by the memory of Flora, was one of endless possibilities and boundless determination. The warrior's resolve burned bright within him, a flame that would never be extinguished. A silent promise. In the quiet moments before dawn, Rondu made a silent promise to Flora. He vowed to continue his journey with the same dedication and love that had brought him this far. He promised to honor her memory by striving for excellence, by never giving up, and by always believing in the power of love. An unwritten story. The story of Rondu and Flora was one of unspoken devotion and silent promises. It was a tale of a warrior driven by love, a love that transcended the physical world and became a guiding force in his life. As Rondu continued his journey, he carried this story with him, a reminder of the power of love and the strength it gave him. The essence of Flora. Though Flora was not physically present, her essence remained with Rondu. She was the unseen muse who had inspired him to reach heights he never thought possible. Her memory was a source of strength and comfort, a guiding light in his journey. As he faced the future, Rondu knew that Flora would always be a part of him, a silent presence that would never fade. A warrior's heart. Rondu's heart was that of a true warrior, driven by love and unwavering in his resolve. The 10 years of training on Mount Evie had transformed him into a formidable fighter. But it was his love for Flora that had given him the strength to endure. This love, though unfulfilled, had shaped his journey and defined his spirit. The path ahead. As Rondu looked toward the horizon, he knew that the path ahead was filled with unknowns. But with the memory of Flora guiding him, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay in wait. His journey was one of love and determination, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of an unseen muse. A love eternal. In the end, Rondu's love for Flora was eternal. It transcended the physical world and became a part of his very being. This love had driven him to achieve greatness, to push beyond his limits, and to become the warrior he was destined to be. As he continued his journey, he carried this love with him, a flame that would never die. Flora, the unseen muse, had inspired Rondu in ways he could never fully understand. Her memory was a source of strength and comfort, a guiding light in his journey. Though they were separated by time and space, their connection remained unbroken. Rondu's love for Flora was a testament to the power of the human spirit, a force that could overcome any obstacle and endure any trial. An endless journey. The journey of Rondu and Flora was one of endless possibilities and boundless determination. It was a story of a warrior driven by love, a love that transcended time and space. As Rondu continued his path, he carried this story with him, a reminder of the power of love and the strength it gave him. The future was unknown, but with the memory of Flora guiding him, Rondu was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Autumn reflections. In autumn, the wind blew through the top of Evie Mountain, carrying the characteristic scent of wildflowers mixed with the smell of forest soil, creating an extremely unique fragrance. On that mountain top, Rondu stood, immersed in his thoughts about Flora, the girl who had captured his heart. Memories of Flora appeared in his mind like warm sunlight filtering through the foliage, brightening the quiet space. Her smile, her grace, and the gentle scent of roses that surrounded her filled his heart with a bittersweet longing. The unexpected presence. Suddenly, an eloquent voice echoed from behind. "What are you thinking about?" Startled, Rondu turned around and saw Master Tammy standing right behind him. "Nothing, Master," he quickly replied, though his eyes betrayed the thoughts that still lingered. Tommy's piercing gaze seemed to see right through him, but the Master chose not to press further. The new challenge. Tammy pondered for a moment, then said, "I was thinking about whether or not I should teach you the last martial art I created. You are a martial arts genius, but I'm not sure if you can learn it. This is a difficult martial art to learn because you have to operate the meridians in reverse. Normally, people who practice martial arts send internal power from the body to the arms or legs in a natural flow. But my martial art requires the process of operating the meridians in reverse. Instead of letting the energy flow from top to bottom, you have to control it to flow back from bottom to top. This requires your utmost concentration and exquisite control." The Flower Storm Fist. Rondu listened attentively, his curiosity and interest piqued. Tammy continued, "This martial art has no moves. It's just a matter of slowly opening your palm, focusing on a point in the middle of your palm, and starting to activate the suction point by directing internal power to focus there. This suction point is like a small tornado, starting to form and creating strong suction. Then use your internal power to push the objects you attract towards the target in front. The more eloquent your internal power is, the stronger the attraction and the stronger the push like a storm." Having finished speaking, Tammy immediately demonstrated the mysterious martial art. He gathered his internal power, opened his palm, and sucked cherry blossom petals from the yard into his hand. Then, with a strong push, the cherry blossom petals flew forward, severing the branches with ease. Rondu was astonished, unable to believe that petals as soft as cherry blossoms could cut tree branches. Tommy looked at Rondu, his eyes serious but full of expectation. "I name this martial art Flower Storm Fist. It means that the flowers are light and fragile but carry the power of a storm." Rondu felt the power and sophistication of this martial art, his heart filled with the desire to learn and improve himself. Looking towards the distant horizon, Rondu understands that the road ahead still has many challenges, but with perseverance and determination, he will overcome them all, like small but strong cherry petals, flying in the storm, but still retains its own beauty. The stern lesson. Tammy looked at Rondu with stern eyes and said, "Any martial art, whether strong or weak, has its weaknesses. You have to find the weakness, destroy it, and you will win." Rondu remembered his master's advice, knowing that this was the secret to becoming invincible. Tammy continued, "The martial art you created is extremely powerful because your internal power is very strong. But if you encounter an opponent with stronger internal power, the power you hit the opponent with will return to yourself. If it's mild, you'll be injured. If it's severe, you'll lose your life." Rondu was extremely frightened by his master's profound knowledge, realizing that the road ahead was full of dangers. Beginning the Flower Storm Fist. The next day, Rondu began practicing Flower Storm Fist under Tommy's guidance. Despite mustering all his strength and will, he could not draw any of the flowers in the yard into his hand. Tommy patiently taught, step by step, showing how to operate the retrograde meridians and focus the energy, but all of Rondu's efforts were in vain. Each attempt left Rondu feeling more frustrated. He could clearly feel the helplessness of not being able to lift even a single flower. Sweat poured down his forehead as he realized that the sophistication and internal control this martial art required were far beyond what he had ever imagined. The challenge of concentration. Tammy warned Rondu that this was an extremely difficult martial art to learn. It's not about intellect. It requires intense concentration and exquisite control that few people can achieve. Tammy emphasized. Rondu, once confident in his talent and quick learning ability, now faced his first significant failure. The shock of failure. This failure was a significant shock to Rondu. He felt like he was being pushed back, unable to swallow this failure. Every day, he tried his best, but the results remained the same. Helplessness gradually made him feel discouraged. However, Tammy's stern and patient eyes always reminded him that the martial arts path is never easy. Rondu knew that to succeed, he needed to persevere, learn to overcome failure, and find his own path. Morning struggles. The next day, Rondu returned to the training ground with a heavy heart, determined to perfect the Flower Storm Fist. The morning sunlight cast sparkling rays on the ground, but the weight of his frustration and anxiety overshadowed the beauty around him. Sweat poured down his forehead as he struggled to draw any power from the flower petals. No matter how hard he tried, the petals remained lifeless, refusing to obey his will. A watchful eye from a distance, Master Tommy watched his student with calm and patient eyes. He observed Rondu's efforts and the frustration that accompanied each failed attempt. When he saw Rondu collapse in despair, he walked over and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You don't need to rush. Fate will come to you," he said gently. Tommy's words were like a soothing breeze, bringing a momentary peace to Rondu's troubled heart. But the feeling of helplessness still lingered. An unexpected visitor. Suddenly, Rondu noticed a familiar figure approaching from afar. As the figure came closer, he recognized his younger sister, Flora. His heart tightened with anxiety. What could have brought her here? He approached her, his face serious and his voice trembling with concern. Is there anything you need to do here? Flora's eyes were filled with tears, her face beautiful but marked by worry. She stammered, "Mom." Rondu felt a jolt of panic surge through him, his anxiety mounting by the second. "What about Mom?" he asked urgently. Flora swallowed her tears and tried to remain calm. "Mom probably won't survive. Go home early so you can see her." Her words pierced Rondu's heart like a dagger. His eyes widened in shock, his voice choked with emotion. "What are you saying? Our mother?" Without another word, Rondu began to pack his belongings in haste. Master Tommy stood by, his eyes filled with understanding and comfort. "You can rest assured and go home. I have nothing more to teach you. Before you go, bring the ice sword and the iron bars." With trembling hands, Tommy helped Rondu secure the iron bars in his coat. The journey home. Rondu bid his master a heartfelt farewell, his heart heavy with worry. On the journey home, his mind was consumed with memories of his mother and their family. The urgency of his steps reflected the depth of his concern and love for his mother. When he arrived home, he rushed to his mother Darika's bedside. "Mom, I'm back. How's Mom?" he asked, his voice filled with worry and love. Darika looked at Rondu with tired but affectionate eyes. "I'm gonna see your father." Tears rolled down her weathered but still beautiful face, a mother's farewell. Rondu cried out in despair, feeling his world crumble. Mom, it can't be like that." Darika whispered through her tears, "There is nothing to regret in this world. I gave birth to 3 gentle and beautiful children. I have some regrets about Kodo. I betrayed him. He was very hurt when I married your father." Speaking of Kodo, Darika's tears flowed more freely, old memories surfacing in her mind. Rondu felt a deep pain seeing his mother lying on the bed with a tired but peaceful expression. Memories of his mother and old times rushed back, and he felt his heart being squeezed by the sight of tears streaming down her face. Darika, once the most beautiful woman in Warlane, now lay in bed, her vitality fading. Memories of Kodo, a loyal, affectionate man who loved her deeply, filled her thoughts. She could not be with Kodo because of circumstances beyond her control, and this always left a wound in her heart. Darika raised her tired arms towards Rondu. Understanding her intent, Rondu quickly grasped her hand. "I'm leaving. Please take care of your 2 younger siblings for me. I am always proud of you, Rondu. Always will be." With those final words, Darika slowly closed her eyes and passed away peacefully, memories of Kodo and Ruda accompanying her into eternity. Overwhelming grief. Watching his mother slip away, Rondu felt an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. Tears streamed down his face as he screamed in pain, "Mom, Mom." But Darika had gone, leaving an unfillable void in the hearts of Rondu and his siblings.